Hi everyone, I want to welcome you to this week's episode of the Lesson in 5. Lesson in 5 is a weekly program where we summarize the Sabbath School lesson into 5 main points. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future videos. Our Sabbath School lesson for this week is The Eyes of the Lord, a Biblical Worldview. A worldview is how we see the world. How we see the world makes a big difference. It's like the glasses through which we look at the world, and that has a bearing on all reality and how we perceive reality. This week, we're going to study the Bible to try and uncover what a biblical worldview is and what it means. The eyes of the Lord. When we look at the world, we need to look at it through the lens of the Bible. Some have postulated that the world came from nothing, basically evolved over billions and billions of years. But the Bible teaches a radically different point of view, that the world and its history is fairly recent. The Bible also teaches us of a God who cares and loves for us. When we read this in the Bible, it informs how we are going to be looking at the world. When we read about a God who cares and loves us, that informs how I go about my life from day to day. The Laban's question. Alright, I know I've probably butchered that name terribly, but this was a German philosopher who asked a very fundamental question. He asked, why is there something instead of nothing? Why, in other words, does the world exist? The Bible answers that question at the very start. The Bible begins by saying, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So the Bible informs us that we are here because God chose to put us here. God chose to create the world. This is important because when we look at the world, we see a creator who calls and demands for our worship. Our response to this loving God is nothing but worshiping Him. Every one day in 7, on the Sabbath day, God calls us to rest in His fellowship and remember and celebrate the fact that God has created our world. The biblical worldview. So none of us really views the world from an objective point of view. There's nobody who can say, I'm completely neutral, because so many factors influence how we see the world. When someone goes outside and sees a rainbow in the sky, for example, someone may think about the science behind the rainbow and how the rays of the sun are reflecting at just the right angle. Someone else may look at the same rainbow and remember the promise that God gave to Noah, never to destroy the world again with a flood. Our worldview influences how we see the world. When we look at the world through a biblical lens, it has a huge impact on how we live our lives. When we see that God put this world in place, God gives us our reason for existence, our purpose and meaning in life. The presence or existence of God means that I live to worship, honor, and exalt Him. Worship the Redeemer. As we look in the world we live in today, there's so many things that have gone wrong. And we have been called to worship God not just as Creator, but as Redeemer. The Bible tells us how things went horribly wrong, but how God gave us a rescue plan to pull us out of sin and to give us life and life more abundant. So the biblical standpoint is that God offers us more than we see in this world. God is not only a creator God, but he's a redeemer God who we need to love, worship, and adore. The law of God. Several years ago in France, there was a debate about capital punishment. So they wrote to a philosopher and thinker and asked him to come up with a position paper about the death penalty. But he didn't just write castigating the death penalty, but instead his paper threw out the entire legal system and said all prisoners should be set free. Though we may look at this and think this is kind of extreme, what moral code do we have to live by? Moses warns the children of Israel against each doing what is right in their own eyes. This clearly poses a serious problem, because a pedophile will see nothing wrong with what they are doing, a murderer will see nothing wrong with killing, and so forth, and will have a lot of horrible crimes. So we need some moral code, something that helps to keep us on center, something that helps to guide us as we go along. That code is found in the Bible. The law of God helps to reveal to us what is right and what is wrong. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please give the video a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Also put in a comment. Those comments help to keep me going. Till next week, God bless you all.